We'll call the September 10th council meeting to order. Deputy Chief Martin, would you give the invocation, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Heavenly Father, we gather here tonight. We thank you for our health and our ability to be here. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to serve our community. And I pray that you examine our hearts, fill us with wisdom, so the result of our efforts would bring glory to you and you alone. In Jesus' name, I pray.
Amen.
Chief Hawkins, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Yes, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk will call the roll.
Taylor,
Present.
Peterson,
Present.
Lease,
Present.
Heckmaster, Edge,
Present.
Snow,
Here.
Barlow,
Here.
Cossey,
Here.
Schramm.
Here.
Move on to reading and consideration of minutes of the previous meeting. Ms. Cossey?
Your Honor, yes, I have an amendment to make on page 5, I believe. In the paragraph that says, Mr. Snow asked the mayor again to rescind the bill. There are a couple of things that I'd like to have added to the minutes. Sorry, I'll pull that closer in case you can't hear. So a couple of things that I'd like to have added to the minutes. In the middle of the paragraph, there's a sentence that ends with the words, in an audit. At this point, I would like to have inserted, when asked what the red flags were, the mayor said, quote, "I don't know what those red flags are. They didn't discuss the flags," end quote. And then followed by, the mayor said that these red flags are from the Attorney General's office. He also said that he did not speak to anyone at the Attorney General's office, but that he had received this information from former City Attorney Nate Dally. I would also like the minutes to reflect that Mr. Dally was not present to support these claims, and we have no written documents from him or from the Attorney General's office per the mayor. And then near the end of that same paragraph, there's a sentence that ends with, or actually there's a sentence that says, Ms. Cossey voiced her concerns over a lengthy multi-year expensive audit. I'd like to expound on that. I'd like to have it noted that during that time, I asked Ms. Cox what the prior forensic audit had cost, and she said approximately $40,000. So based on that estimate, I estimated that it was approximately $160,000 for that audit to be conducted. And then I think those may be the only changes. I think those are the only additions that I'd like to have made to the minutes. So at this time, I'd like to motion that we make those changes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to amend the minutes as requested. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. We'll move on to presentations. Mr. Gaines?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Gaines. I'm the managing director at Goldstone Consulting Group. We are an international site selection and economic development consulting firm based in Moberly. And I'm here on behalf of Jeff, your economic development team for the city of Carthage, to talk a little bit about the community housing needs assessment that our firm has been retained to do for the city of Carthage. Over the next several months, we're going to be taking a look at the need for housing in Carthage across the full spectrum for those who need a little assistance all the way up to the executive level and everybody in between, single family, multi-family, housing for your seniors, folks like me who have downsized because our kids have grown and gone on, and mom doesn't want to cut the grass anymore, or doesn't want to make me cut the grass anymore. And so we'll be doing this over the next several months. We want to let the folks of Carthage know that we will be releasing a survey next week, where we will be asking the residents of Carthage what their opinion is of housing, what their future needs are going to be, whether they're getting bigger housing because of growth in their family, or like me, or like many of you, they're beginning to shrink down that housing. The price ranges and amenities and those kinds of things. For the first time that we have done this in the state of Missouri and in Kansas and Wyoming and Texas, we're going to, at the request of Jeff, we're going to ask your employers to share information with us about housing as it relates to their ability to retain talent in your major employers throughout the city and attract new talent. And I want to let the folks know that all of this, there's no information that we'll ask that will identify the individual that's responding. So I want to make that perfectly clear. But across the nation, housing has become a true economic development issue. It is a business retention issue. If you don't have talent, you can't retain your companies, your employers. If you don't have talent, you can't attract new employers to the community. It's also a small business issue, because when a community is healthy and they're building new homes, your plumbers, your carpenters, your roofer, the flooring guy all gets work. And the appliance dealers are beginning to get work because new appliances, new furnitures. There's a value to the city as a whole, as increased property tax. The school district and those other entities that rely on property taxes to provide the services to the community that they do. This will help expand that base, so we're not putting the burden on current folks, but hopefully on having new folks move into the community can help spread that burden out, as well as sales tax revenue from building materials, appliances, and believe it or not, new furniture, because we're not taking the old furniture to the new house, those kinds of things. So I'll be available for the council if you have any questions. If not tonight, just reach out to Jeff. He'll share our contact information with you. And we look forward to being able to talk with the people of Carthage and bring you this information, hopefully by the first of the year. Yes, ma'am.
How will you release that survey?
We've already had just a brief conversation with the media, so, but it'll be an online survey through SurveyMonkey.
Okay.
And again, none of the information will identify any individual that's answering the questions that we have to ask.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Gaines, will your survey also take into consideration property conditions, age, owner occupied, non-owner occupied, those types of data points, or will it just be need for housing and need for different levels of
Well,
housing?
Councilman Snow, yes, that would be the short answer to that. Not only are we looking at what that demand is for new housing in the community and what kind, but also the opportunity to improve upon the existing housing stock that's here in terms of helping folks renovate and improve the house, and what those numbers and metrics looks like as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No? Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council.
Thank you,
Appreciate the
Mr.
time,
Gaines.
and we look forward to seeing you all again over the next few months. Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thank you. All right. Move on to public comments. Anyone wishing to address the council, step to the podium, state your name and address and your business. Please keep it to 5 minutes, please.
Good evening. My name is Joshua Mark Roberts. I've worked for the city of Carthage for the fire department for 20 years, since 2004. City Council, Honorable Mayor, I have a statement that some of the members of the department have written, and I'd like to read that to you guys tonight. This statement is a collective and collaborative effort of several members of the fire department. I won't pretend to represent the entire department, as we are all adults and with our own viewpoints and opinions. It is a factual statement, though, to say that the following statement does represent the majority of the employees at the department. We would like to make clear a few items that were addressed in our previous letter that was emailed to the mayor and the council. The frustration that we discussed in that letter was not the position of fire chief wasn't immediately given to Jason Martin. It was how the hiring process was treated by the council. We understand that the hiring of a department head is a difficult process, and we patiently waited for the process to take place. It seemed from our viewpoint that the hiring committee was formed with the right people and took their time to do the job the right way. After interviewing 8 people and then selecting 2 internal people for a second interview, it seemed that due diligence had been done. They spoke to a select few members of the fire department to get our input on the internal applicants. And after all of that, selected Jason Martin as the top candidate. From our understanding, that was supposed to be the time-consuming part of the council appointment, was essentially a formality. Carthage is a small town, and the rumors that you hear can get pretty wild. Most of the time, they're just that, rumors. But sometimes they can end up having some truth to them. For instance, it may be pure rumor that Jason hasn't been appointed by the council because on a personal level, some of the members just don't like him as a person. It might be rumors that some of the council members don't want him appointed because of his political views. The longer the council keeps pushing the appointment of the fire chief off, the more it gives credence to these rumors. Even if they aren't true, after having 2 different closed session totaling around 4 hours on conversation, after having 2 interviews with Jason already, it seems that there isn't a grounded argument to keep Jason from being fire chief. Simply put, if there was a reason to not appoint Jason Martin to fire chief, someone would have already found it already. In closing, I would like to ask the same question that our letter did. Why? If you truly believe that not making Jason Martin fire chief is the best interest of the city, please explain yourself. Make it make sense to us, because right now it doesn't. You have a great opportunity as a council to prove to everyone that you do have the best interest in the city and its employees and your top priorities. We expect you to do the right thing, and we are still waiting. Thank you very much.
Steve Goodman, 6240 Centennial, McCarthy, Missouri, right here. My focus is mainly just on Jason Martin for fire chief. He's dedicated. He's put the years in. He's experienced. And 20 years ago, a little past that, there was a call that went out south of town. I was working at a local dealership. I saw a truck go out. Just another day, it was February. Weather was nice. They all didn't come back. Jason was on that call. That probably would shape a guy's life. You would never forget that. And over the years, he's grown to be what I would call one of the best fire guys. He's worked with the old dogs. He's been here for years. A guy like Tom says, put him in there. I mean, the committee backs him. I see he's got a lot of boys back there that are backing him. And as far as what I see down here, you know, I see an empty council seat. I see an empty administrator seat. I hear of an impeachment, recall, some litigation with other members that used to work here. And I just think that all the hard work's been done. The ball is about this far from the hole, just tapping in. This is an easy one. If I ever have to call 911, I want him to be the fire chief. I want that boy as the fire chief. There's a lot of things to be proud of in Carthage, and one of them I'm proud of is the FD and that boy right over there. Thank you.
Hello. I think you all know me. I'm John Cooper. I live at 311 East Highland. I was a city employed for 40 years. I was a fireman for 44 years. Like I told you last time, I know what it takes to be a fire chief. You know, and I've only got 4 things to say, and then I'll shut up and sit down again, just like last time. The majority of the men want Jason to be fire chief. That's number one. They gotta have somebody they can trust. He's gotta have people that trust him and he trusts them. The second thing is his experience in training. He's been a deputy chief for a few years. He's trained to do that. He knows the job. I do have somebody starting the job that knows it, that's had 25 years experience, than appointing somebody that has 11 years of experience and they don't know the job. Because somebody's gonna have to train them. Your hiring committee picked him. He was their selection. That is number 3. I think the majority of the people in the city want him. That's a number 4. I mean, it's the people that want him. I haven't heard any big outcry of people saying he's a terrible man. He's not. I've known Jason since he was a little boy. He knows that. I hired him as a fireman. I know he's trained to do the job. I know people trained, they will follow. And that's what they're not. A bunch of them are sitting here in the back, they'll tell you the same thing. In my opinion, and I told you last time, my opinion is not a guess, okay? It's educated. I did this for years. I've been fire chief in three different places. One here for about 28 years, but before that 2 other places and 1 in the military. And I know what it takes to be a fire chief. And Jason Martin is the man. He's trained, he's ready to go. And if he's on probation anyway. If Jason does something that insults you or does something after that, talk to him about it. Go to him now if you think he's done something wrong or done something to you. Look at him, ask him. He won't lie. I know him. He will tell you the truth and he will talk to you straight. I'm gonna shut up. Thank you.
My name is Carol Cooper, proud wife of Chief John Cooper, and I live at 311 East Highland Avenue in Carthage. And I'm going to read part of this because some of it is not my comments and opinions. I'm going to talk to you about being a fireman's wife. And a lot of these are comments and the needs of these men's spouses, their wives, their children, and so forth. And I backed the firemen's wives in other instances, and I promised that I would do so in this instance too, so that their voices will be heard. As all the men back here respect John Cooper, they know that he will have their back, and that's why he comes up here and speaks for Jason. Truthfully, for Jason. I was there the night that he wanted to hire Jason Martin. And he could not quit talking about how he would love to have Jason as a fireman. He hired him, he trained him, he motivated him, he made him a fireman, and he made him a fire chief. And I can tell you, Jason, and in talking to him a lot, he respects John Cooper. He respects the former fire chiefs. He's watched through a lot of them. Ryan Huntley appointed him. We all know that Ryan Huntley was a good fire chief. He's a good man. He appointed him, and why did he appoint him? Because of all these rumors that are going around town? I can tell you, we heard a rumor one night, and the rumor was, and I'll speak about this in a minute, the rumor was if I saw Jason Martin, I'd punch him in the face. Well, you know what? That person told John Cooper why he would punch him in the face, and he was wrong. Jason was doing his job, and he was protecting the other firemen, and he was protecting the city. Now, those are the kind of rumors you guys are hearing. And if those people are not willing to come forward and stand up here and say they're rumors, then I would hope that you will not listen to their rumors. But what do we need? And I say we because now I have a grandson that is a fireman. So John and I, we need these same things from the firemen and from the chief. What do we need from a fire chief? We need trust. We need to keep our firefighters safe. These men are running in when others are running out. They need mental resilience. Stay calm. I've seen Jason in his not calm because he had to be, and I've seen Jason be calm. And Jason was calm, and he was focused, and Jason knows, like Steve said, Jason knows firsthand what it's like to lose a fireman, to be on the scene that day. And God forbid, I hope it doesn't happen to my grandson or any of these other guys, but you know what, that man right there, he will be the one that has been there. Every single year in February, he does a memorial for Steve Fierro. He will never be forgotten. And that's because of that man right there. And that's what a fire chief does. Okay, these men can be under extreme stress. And they see horrifying things. Not every day, but, and this was one of the wife's comments. We need a chief to be able to see when our firefighters need extra care and be able to manage how it impacts them physically, spiritually, and most of all, emotionally. Another wife said teamwork. These firefighters believe in Jason, as evidenced by this right here. I mean, how can you tell these men no? That's what I want to know. Like Steve said, how do you tell them no? What if something happens to one of them? What's their wife going to say when it could have been Jason, but it could have been somebody that didn't know what to do and needed Jason's help? That's not fair. Moral courage. They face physical dangers, and we want the chief to be able to speak up against unsafe practices, like the man that was going to punch him in the face, and situations. We want him to motivate our firefighters to continue to love what they do. From a former firefighter and fire chief's wife, many of the spouses of the CFD, we ask for you to appoint Jason Martin as our firefighters chief, because we believe, as our firefighters do, that Jason Martin has for years and will continue to protect our loved ones.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joel Terry, 2219 Allison. First off, sounds like I'm piling on here. I want to give kudos to Jason Martin. When the issue of illegally parked vehicles was brought up, you, Mr. Martin, you handled it very well. Thank you. The city of Carthage is figuratively on fire right now. Instead of trying to calm things down, our mayor issued a very inflammatory press release. That was akin, in my opinion, to pumping gasoline on a house fire. That's very disappointing. At the meeting, August 27th, I was under the impression that a disgruntled former employee had complained to the state attorney general. The press release indicated that the mayor is the one leveling these accusations. If it's the first one, please completely disregard any notice from the AG about this. That sounds like sour grapes to most of us. If it's the mayor leveling these accusations, I know he's aware that the council has a liaison to CWEP. Have those, quote, red flags been brought to the attention of the CWEP board? If not, why not? CWEP, as reported by the liaison, is undergoing an annual audit at this time. They may be done by now. If there are issues, now might be a great time to bring them to the attention of the board. They could address it and save the citizens of Carthage a great deal of money. The statement bringing up Mr. Bryant, Mr. Putnam, and CCU was completely out of left field. KSN, after reading the press release, immediately showed an interview with Mr. Bryant, who stated he welcomes an audit due to his goal of the utility being transparent. Seems very ironic to me that the issue of red flags was brought up in last meeting, and on the agenda tonight are 2 items of payments issued that were never discussed by the council. One of those payments, to the tune of $71,000 plus, was to the former city administrator that when the mayor spoke to the media about his termination, called him a friend. That is a gigantic red flag, in my opinion. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and citizens. I'm Bill Putnam. I live at 624 Bel Air. And like most of you here this evening, I am a private citizen concerned about Carthage. Last April, Carthage citizens overwhelmingly decided a change was needed in city government. We elected 5 new council persons who have worked hard to fulfill the wishes of the people and bring transparency to Carthage government. Council members, you are doing great work, and I urge you to persevere. Since the election, it has been my thought to keep quiet and let you fine folks navigate your responsibilities on the council. But as Mayor Rife called me out in his most recent attack on CWNEP, I feel it necessary to set the record straight. The complaint that was filed with the state auditor last fall largely involved operational concerns in following code and charter and the hiring of the city administrator, and the mayor's responsibility to uphold the law. Charter section 4.12 states the mayor shall be active and vigilant in enforcing all laws and ordinances for the government of the city, unquote. The report from the auditor stated, quote, "Our investigation noted potential instances of non-compliance with the city charter and city code and opportunities for improvement in the transparency of city hiring and salary decisions. We would review these potential issues as part of a petition audit. In the future, we encourage city officials to ensure they follow city charter, city code, and all applicable rules and regulations for personnel matters," unquote. There was no suggestion by the auditor of any red flags regarding CWEP as stated by the mayor in his recent statement. I do have one other item to discuss. On the agenda tonight is a discussion of unauthorized expenses. I have a couple of documents in reference to that regard. In December of last year, in response to a request to release the contract of Mr. Dagnan, and in response to an inquiry from the Attorney General's office, Mr. Dowley wrote 2 letters on December 11th and December 27th. I have both of those here. In the first letter, regarding employment letters written by Mayor Rife to Mr. Dagnan, City Attorney Dowley states, quote, "These agreements traditionally are not ratified by the City Council until departure and should not be considered contracts." He further states, quote, "Our past city administrator's situation exemplifies this process. His agreement, effective upon council approval after his resignation, included a severance package that was subsequently ratified by the council." Yes, that was done in closed session on April the 1st of 2022. I have those minutes as well. In the second letter from Dowley, in reference to reported promises by Rife to Dagnan that he could only be fired for cause for a 10-year period and would receive 3 months of severance pay, Dowley states the city code says the city administrator, quote, "can be let go for any reason and is only entitled to 2 weeks' pay," unquote. Quote, "The provisions go against our city code and therefore would require council approval for the mayor to execute a contract." Now it is reported that last March, Mr. Dagnan showed a news person what he called a contract with the city just about 3 months after Mr. Dowley stated no contract existed. And in the council packet tonight is a letter from Mayor Rife to Dagnan sending him severance pay of over $81,000, stating, quote, "It was pursuant to city code and your employment contract," unquote, which Mr. Dowley said does not exist. When Ms. Cox sent me this letter, she said it had not been approved by the council. Mayor Rife, you paid him 3 months severance instead of 1/2 month called for in city code. The personnel policy manual, and I have it as well, states that sick pay is not due, quote, "until they receive their first retirement check," unquote. And Mr. Dagnan certainly did not retire. Mr. Mayor, it appears you have overpaid your stated good friend, Mr. Dagnan, $63,996.80. You have again violated your oath of office to uphold the laws of the city. As the Green Arrow in the Netflix series would say, Mr. Rife, you have failed this city. Save the city an additional expense of impeachment trial and resign. Council members, when you verify what I have outlined here tonight, you owe it to the citizens to file legal action to recover this inappropriately spent money. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Anthony Lease, 230 North Maple Street. I just wanted to, I'm not addressing the circus that's going on right now and that I'm hearing from Kentucky, from Texas, from California. I'm not, and they're talking about Carthage, Missouri. But I'm not wanting to talk about that. I'm just wanting to talk about Jason. Jason Martin is needing to be our fire chief. That's from me and several of the citizens I have talked to. I just want the people to know that Jason Martin is the person that he says he is. He's straight up, honest. They're always talking about transparency. Transparency is what he's all about. I don't think that if there's going to be a vote tonight, I think it should be 8-0 for Jason Martin.
All right. We'll move on to report of standing committees. Budget, Ways and Means, Chairman Snow.
Thank you. Budget Ways and Means Committee met last night here in council chambers at 5:30. We had one item of new business on our agenda last night, and it appears tonight on our agenda as Resolution 2053. It's a budget adjustment to the golf fund for reseeding parts of the golf course. So we'll be voting on that later tonight. During staff reports, it was reported by Ms. Cox that sales tax is up again, use tax is down again, and the marijuana tax is slightly up from what it was last month. Also, during staff reports, we reviewed and approved the comparable cities that will be used for our salary study update for the city. As most of you might remember, we did a salary study. This is our third year of implementation of that salary study, and part of this update will help us make sure that we are maintaining what we need to do for the employees of the city as far as maintaining the increases to keep our salary study relevant. And so we reviewed and approved that list of comparables. They took a couple off the list that didn't respond last time, and they also added some more to the list for this update. Also, there are 3 new positions that will be added to the salary review that were not current positions when the former salary study was conducted. So we'll be hearing about more of that over the next few months. Our next meeting will be on October 14th at 5:30 here in council chambers.
All right, thank you, sir. Committee on Insurance Audit and Claims, Chairperson Cossey.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. So the Committee on Insurance Audit and Claims met this evening at 5:30 in council chambers. We approved claims to be forwarded to full council of $1,007,640.70. We'll be voting on that later. We covered the salary study information that Mr. Snow just mentioned. Sometimes things have to go through multiple committees, so it's gone through budget and gone through insurance audit and claims both. And then also we were updated, there's an employee health fair coming up. Last year we had approved $135 per employee who attended so that they could get a general health screening and then choose from a menu of other services that they might want to add on. And at this time, I would like to motion that we make that same approval this time for $135 per employee who would like to attend the screening session.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second to allow for $135 per employee wishing to attend the upcoming health fair for testing and services during that fair. Any discussion?
The sheet on this fair is absolutely wonderful. The pricing is excellent for testing. Women's health profiles, $115, men's health profiles, $110. They said that they would have several services there, massage therapist, who else, Tracy, did you? Or,
financial, dermatology, eye care, dental, pretty much your whole
And-
range of, yeah, gyms will be there.
So it sounds like a wonderful benefit for our city.
Mr. Snow.
Miranda, what was our participation rate last year? I know this isn't the first, last year wasn't the first time we've done something like this. Is our participation rate going up? Is it the same? Is it 100%? I mean,
We have a lot of people show up. As far as the blood work, it's What did I say earlier, between 20 and 30 and 40?
We normally have around 30 to 40 individuals that participate. We have a lot more that show up because a lot of our employees are required to have a physical, so they wouldn't need to have the same thing again.
I mean, we've seen numbers go up a little bit each year, but it definitely helps letting them choose which testing they want.
Thank you.
So,
All right, anything further? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then our next meeting will be in council chambers on Tuesday, September 24th at 5:30 p.m.
All right. Public Safety Committee. Vice Chair Snow?
Public Safety Committee is currently between meetings. Our next regularly scheduled meeting would be next Monday at 5:30 here in council chambers, but I don't know if we will we have it still? We'll be out of town. Oh, okay.
All right. Public Services Committee, Chairman Edge.
Public Services is in between meetings currently. Our next meeting is, Tracy, keep me honest, the 19th?
That is correct.
Is scheduled for the 19th at 5:30 here in council chambers.
It's at 5 o'clock.
yeah.
At 5 o'clock in council chambers.
All right. Public Works Committee, Chairman Taylor.
Public Works is between meetings. Our next meeting will be the first Tuesday of next month. If anyone has any concerns between now and then, please contact me or Rachel at the Public Works Department so that we can put something on the agenda. We haven't had much business here lately, so in order to save the city money, if there's no business, most everything that needs to be covered is in the staff report, which is made available to the public. So if you have a concern, please bring it up to me or Rachel or any of your council people, and they will get in contact with me and we'll make sure that there's something on the agenda to address your situation. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to reports from special committees and board liaisons.
Mr. Mayor, I attended
Marlo.
the McCune Brooks Regional Hospital Trust quarterly meeting, August 28th. Ms. Almendinger, Ms. Cox, and the gentleman from the company, I'm sorry, I don't have a name, but talked about the outdoor pool facility. The decision was not to fund our request, but to encourage us to seek some other funding sources, not ruling out any support, but their decision at the time was not to fund the request as we made it. Next quarterly meeting is December 4th. I also attended this evening the library board meeting, and biggest takeaway from that is we're very excited to see that the no fine process that they've started this summer has been successful. A lot of positive responses, as you can imagine. Of course, if someone damages a book, that doesn't apply. But in terms of fines, the research was that it just wasn't a positive, wasn't helpful, wasn't serving the purpose. Plus, it was causing some people to go places where there weren't fines. So a lot of positive response, and some people even donated the money that they owed in a fine. So anyway, a lot of positives from the new no fine process. So next meeting will be at the beginning of our next meeting in October, our first meeting in October, excuse me. That's it.
All right, thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor,
Peters.
thank you. I just wanted to note that and I have it here just to make sure, like Mr. Edge, that I'm accurate, but the Kellogg Lake Board is currently between meetings. Our next meeting will be this coming Monday, September 16th at 6 p.m. at the S&B Community Room.
All right, thank you. What else? All right. to the mayor's report. Not a lot to report. Did attend the McCune Brooks Trust Board meeting as well via Zoom, but we'll move on to report or remarks of council members. Start over here. This to Mr. Taylor. Anything?
Nothing to report tonight, Your Honor.
Mr. Peterson.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Ms. Lee.
I really liked the library no fine rule. That's gonna save my household some money. Thank you. And then I was able to go Saturday and work, and we took 4 dogs, and I had to leave right before they finished, but we had a lot of interest, but I'm not sure if we were able to adopt any out, but we did have 1 dog that was sponsored so that somebody would have been able to adopt that dog for free. So, and it was so pretty. They were all 4 beautiful dogs. So if you don't have a dog, maybe you should think about adopting. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. Mr. Edge.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Mr. Snow.
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Barlow.
Nothing, sir.
Ms. Cossey.
Just a couple of things. So to echo Miss Lisa's comment, I highly encourage that if you're looking for a pet, adopt from the shelter. My dog Patrick highly agrees. And I just have one general question, so not specifically related to any specific contract, but I would like our city attorney to address, as we've heard in comments, we've heard that our former city attorney had said there was no contract with Mr. Dagnan, and we've heard Mr. Dagnan say there was. So without specifically addressing whether or not there was a contract with Mr. Dagnan, can you tell us what the requirements would be for a city to actually have approved a contract with an employee?
Well, it would have to be approved by council, by your vote standard, in order for it to be a valid contract that binds the city.
Thank you very much. And that's all I have this evening.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Ram.
And nothing tonight, thank you.
All right. Move on to administrative reports. Chief Hawkins.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Deputy Chief Martin.
I would just like to thank everybody for the outpouring of support. It's been very humbling. Very gracious words by a lot of respected people that I wholeheartedly appreciate. So thank you. And that's all.
Thank you. Let's see. Ms. Almendinger.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention that the last Food Truck Friday will be held on this Friday, so it should be nice weather. Please come out and join us. I believe we have 18 food trucks lined up and some live music as well. And then Central Park bathrooms and Municipal Park bathrooms should be open by the end of the month. So thank you. That's all I have.
All righty. Thank you. Ms. Cox.
Thank you, Your Honor. So previously, Mr. Gaines was talking about our housing needs study. I just wanted to report that I spoke with Travis at Public Works Department, and in just the last couple of weeks, he said he has issued 6 new construction permits for homes. So that's good news that we are still growing. Also, Morgan Hash with the fire department has been working on the Missouri Disaster Assistance Grant. She actually is the one that did the work to apply for reimbursement towards the damage from the recent tornado. And she was just recently informed that we will be receiving approximately $88,000 reimbursement through the grant. So I'd like to thank Morgan, for her work on this, and it's definitely appreciated. Friday will be Jen Kirby's last day with the city. She is currently our tourism director and public information officer. Jen has a great vision and an even bigger heart, and so she will be missed, and we do wish her the best in her new role at the county. As Alan stated, and Tiffany, I did have a meeting with Victoria McGrath, who did our previous salary study, and she hopes to have the update completed by the end of the current calendar year. Also, I believe this Friday's a busy day, so we have Food Truck Friday, and Jen's leaving, and also the Chamber Golf Tournament. We have 4 teams that will be participating in the Chamber Golf Tournament, so a lot going on. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gold?
Nothing else.
All right. We'll move on to report of claims committee, or claims against the city.
The Committee on Claims filed a report in the amount of $1,007,640.70.
I'd like to motion that we approve the claims as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the claims as presented, and any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, we'll move on to old business.
The second reading of Council Bill 2444, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a partnership agreement with Contractors Portables to supply portable restrooms and hand washing units for various park locations and special events in the city of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion? Cast your votes.
Miranda, for some reason my tablet is dead, so I'm gonna have to hand vote too.
Okay.
Either that or for some reason I am not capable of turning it on.
Okay, that's fine.
I've pushed all the buttons.
Are you voting yes or no?
Yes.
Council bill passes.
The second reading of Council Bill 2445, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Midland Enterprises for repairs to the Parks and Recreation Building in Municipal Park in the amount of $56,779 in the city of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion? Cast your vote. Oh.
I just want to add that this amount has been approved by the insurance company and will be reimbursed.
All right, thank you. Anything further? Cast your vote.
Tiffany? Yeah.
Council bill passes. All right, we'll move on to new business.
The discussion of unauthorized payments.
So,
Ms. Cossey.
Yes, so I think the majority of the discussion to be had tonight will be covered in the revised articles of impeachment, but I would like to ask that for the agenda for next time, we place a closed session on the agenda for the discussion of possible pending litigation. Do we need a motion and a second for that? Okay, so I would like to make that as a motion to add that to the agenda for the 24th.
Closed session, okay. Got a motion and a second to add closed session for the agenda for the 24th.
Did someone second it?
A second.
Oh,
All right. Any discussion?
Did you say possible litigation?
Mm-hmm.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carried.
was it just you two? Did anyone vote no on that side?
Abstain.
Abstain, okay.
It just needs a majority.
So I guess we're done with that. And the consider and discuss adoption of revised articles of impeachment.
I would suggest that the mayor step down at this time and let Alan take over as mayor pro tem, because this does involve him.
We've agreed in the settlement where there's not gonna be any there's not going to be any attempt to slow anything
Again,
down.
I wish that Alan would take over as mayor pro tem at this point.
He can go from right there, I suppose.
I would like to make a motion that we adopt the amended articles of impeachment as presented to the council in the packet.
Got a motion to adopt the revised articles of impeachment
I second that.
and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Edge?
Yeah, I just really want to revisit this. I know I did it probably a month ago. Is there any opportunity, I know we don't agree with everything, but is there an opportunity to put everything out on the table, open up lines of communication and get past the impeachment and move forward? We've got division in the city, and I think we all need to look for a way to come together, move forward. At this point, Mr. Mayor, your term expires
April of
April 26th. And in that instance, at re-election time, if you do choose to run, let the citizens of Carthage decide on that instance.
Mr. Snow. So, Mr. Edge, while I appreciate your sentiments, that isn't the discussion that we're having now. It's simply a discussion on whether or not to move forward with the previously adopted articles of impeachment or the new articles of impeachment.
I understand, just sharing my thoughts.
Any further discussion?
I had a question. I know we had several emails back and forth today, and so I know that you're adding some items to the impeachment. Were they all accepted? I didn't understand the acceptance letters that came through. I wanted to make sure I understood what that meant.
So, Tracy, you want to?
So he asked that myself, Miranda, and the mayor accept the email as service for the subpoenas to be here for the impeachment hearing. And we accepted through email. That way we don't have to pay for a process server to hand deliver those subpoenas to us.
Okay. And I thought that's what that meant. And so this is just to add, I guess I'm just confused. So we're adding just the things that you had listed to the impeachment charges?
So the impeachment attorney, Mr. Martin, actually made those revisions.
Right,
but yes, basically he's added some additional items. I don't believe he has removed any. So I'm not sure that
I just don't understand the purpose of adding on more and more before we get to the part. I just am trying to figure out why, if you thought you had grounds to impeach in the first place, if we thought that there were grounds to impeach in the first place, why are we continually finding things to add? We could build up things on other people, mistakes that we've all made in here. And especially, since it came out in the one meeting too, that it was offered to the mayor that the impeachment could go away if they stopped the recall on Ms. Cossey.
So, go ahead, Mr. Snow. Oh, so I'm not sure that offer, which was not made by me, by the way, and I was not present for that conversation. I stepped out of the room. Actually has nothing to do with this, but to answer your other question, why are things being added, is because we believe that there are other possible continuing infractions that, or not infractions, offenses that need to be investigated and need to be heard at the trial, the hearing that is scheduled for the 25th. And so at this point, we had things that were done but not paid for. Now payment has been made, and so these charges have been added to explore whether or not that the payment that was made was proper or not as well. And so, they're a pretty significant amount. Those payments add up to almost $250,000. So it's not insignificant charges that are being added to this amended bill of impeachment.
And so by doing that, it's like us saying that we agree that he did that wrong. But isn't that how other employees of the city have also been paid out?
So
So so those are two separate questions. So the first one is, by us doing this, is it's saying that we are asking the attorney to present evidence to explore whether or not this has happened in violation of either local law, state law, or federal law. And so that's why that is being added. In terms of, is that how other employees have been paid out? We go back to what is in the code section. The code section, Mr. Gold could probably either elaborate or verify this, but currently our code section calls for 2-week severance. I assume you're talking about, when you talk about employees, you're talking about Mr. Dagnan, because the other additions deal with a payment of a bill which was declined by insurance audit and claims, and another one is a payment on a service which the contract has not come before the council. So when you refer to the employment, I assume you're only referring to the piece related to Mr. Dagnan. We're not focused on what has happened with other employees. We're focused on with what our city code calls for and what has happened. And we're asking to add that to the articles of impeachment so we can explore whether or not city law has been violated.
Right. I'm also just setting that for an example, just for precedence for other city employees, so that we end up drawing some lines and making sure things are clear when employees depart, because we don't, what are we saying to our city employees to, that you're not going to receive different things that you accrue. And I know we'll get more into that with the investigation part of it, you said. And then I know one of them was also for something that was paid, but that was paid, let's see here. It was an emergency, a part of the emergency plan that we all approved in council. And so there was emergency purchases to the company, and I believe that company was the one that did all the shredding of the trees to get things taken care of quickly, to get things done. And if you look, and I don't know if you want to pull it up, Miranda, but I looked it up. It's in the city policies under the purchasing policy manual, Part J, page 14. And in that document, it outlines the emergency purchases and what qualifies that, and what the mayor would need to do in such emergencies. He would need to notify.
Ms. Lee, we're voting tonight to add these to the impeachment hearing, and they will be tried at the impeachment hearing with evidence for and against, or for and against the charges and whether they were appropriate or not. We're not here tonight to rule on or vote on whether they're appropriate. We're voting to add these to be heard in the impeachment hearing.
Right, I understand that. I just don't want to vote for something to be added that and acting like that I approve that those are all correct.
This isn't voting to approve or deny. This is to add it to the hearing. The night of the hearing, the impeachment lawyer will prosecute, and Mr. Reif's lawyer will defend the right or wrong of those charges, whether they're appropriate or inappropriate. And so that's what this is, to add it to be heard that night or that day.
To be heard to the hearing.
Yes.
Can you explain then, so we're voting to add it to that. I understand that, but why, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get this whole process down. Why are we, if I voted yes tonight to add that, is that not the council saying that we feel like that was something that he needs to be tried for?
No, so what we're doing tonight, Mr. Gold, correct me if I'm wrong, what we're doing tonight is to ask the mayor to justify why it was done or done improperly, and that would be done at the impeachment hearing. During the hearing, we will hear evidence for or against the charges.
Thank you.
I would just tell you, Ms. Lees, that, and for all the council, Mr. Snow is correct. You have a list. Whether that list has founded allegations or unfounded allegations, that's not to be decided tonight. It is going to be decided at the impeachment hearing with, as Mr. Snow pointed out, evidence presented in defense of or in prosecution of those charges. And that's when this council just, if you vote to add it tonight, that doesn't mean you have to vote to make a decision about the mayor's fate.
That's the investigator's job at that point.
Well, it'll be the council's job because you essentially said it's judge and jury. This isn't a trial. This is an administrative hearing that's laid out in your charter process and state law. So you have that right to vote yea or nay. And adding a charge doesn't mean you have to vote in favor of that charge when the evidence is presented and you're called upon to make a final decision.
And if you don't believe in those charges, you can feel free, if you want to vote no, correct?
You could vote no on this motion
Right.
that's been seconded, that you don't want those charges added.
Thank you.
You're correct.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carried.
Hold on, can I get those notes again? Will you raise your hand for a note? Personnel, all these.
I guess I didn't ask. Any abstentions? Okay, so 5-2. Yeah, 6-2.
6-2, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, move on.
We have the closed session.
Need a motion to go into closed session?
We do.
No. I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session according to section 610.021, the third. The agenda includes the possibility of a vote to close part of the meeting to discuss hiring, firing, discipline, or promoting a particular employee by a public governmental body when personal information about the employee is discussed or recorded.
Oh, a second, yes, sorry.
Have a motion and a second to go into closed session according to the code listed. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Oh, vote on, all right. Vote on the board or raise hands, which we want to do.
Let's raise our hands. 'cause
Let's
it's-
just raise hands. All in favor, say aye, or raise your hand.
Okay, now it's 7-1.
All right. open session. Clerk will take the roll.
Taylor,
Present.
Peterson,
Present.
Lees,
Present.
Heckmeister, Edge,
Present.
Snow,
Here.
Barlow,
Here.
Cossey,
Here.
Schramp.
Here.
All right. The vote was taken in closed session. Those results will be posted in 72 hours. We will not be appointing a chief this evening. That'll be out in the minutes within 72 hours, so. Okay, we'll move on to resolutions.
Randy, you're next.
Bye, Bill.
Sorry, we took a long time, so it's real simple. And I'll just read it. It was Resolution 2053, a resolution authorizing a supplemental budget adjustment to the golf fund for fiscal year 2024-2025 for a line item adjustment of $20,000 to the maintenance line item for the purchase of bluegrass seed to be used on the fairways to help reduce winter kill.
Mr. Snow.
I move we adopt resolution 2053.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2053. Any discussion?
Yes, on this resolution, that $20,000 wasn't quite all of the money that it would take to seed that and take care of it. There's a substantial adjustment that needs to be made for the pump, and it takes quite a bit more water. But I think that that's been discussed and will come at a later time. So it's not just a flat $20,000.
Yeah, so it was discussed at the budget meeting last night. We are on a well out there, so the water won't be an expense. It will be the electricity to run the well, and we really don't know because we're getting into rainy season, how much we'll actually need to water and how much we'll get God's water for.
I believe an estimate on that electricity was $5,500 for the course of the year. And then this particular $20,000 was just for the purchase of the seed as well as the, I believe, if I remember correctly, Cody said it was $2,000 for the fertilizer along with that, correct?
Yes. And I also wanted to explain, I know we talked about it in our meeting before, that the reason this grass is needed, it stays green year round. Some people don't understand that. I didn't until you guys told me it stays green year round, therefore drawing more players to play on the course year round.
It does not go dormant like the current grass in the fairways, so.
Yes.
And it's self-spreading, as Cody explained last night, so it's gonna fill back in as, over the course of the year as divots and play is taking course over the golf course.
All right, any discussion?
I just have one follow-up question. So it sounds like the additional expense, there's not a whole lot of water because it's on a well, about $5,500 additional electricity. And then are we going to have to put in additional pumps as well?
No.
So just the additional $5,500 in expenses, that's the only additional expense that we're
That is correct.
anticipating?
And if you would like to make a motion to amend the resolution to add the $5,500 as a line item adjustment to the utilities, you can do that.
We did not, we discussed that last night. We did not do that because this is time sensitive to get it done by the end of the month. Correct, Abby?
I mean, it is time sensitive, but I think you can amend the
Sorry, I meant
motion.
the time sensitive of actually getting it approved in order to get the product.
Yes, but I don't think it's reflective of the motion that if you want to amend the motion, as I understand it, you can amend the motion tonight and it's
Right,
fine. But yes, we do need to order the seed immediately.
Correct.
For the fall season, yes.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the resolution to include the additional estimated $5,500 for the electricity.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to
Keep me
amend.
honest, that was the amount, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Motion and a second to amend Resolution 2053 to add $5,500 for electric expense. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what
Resolution 2053 as amended, a resolution authorizing a supplemental budget adjustment to the golf fund for fiscal year 2024-2025 for a line item adjustment of $20,000 to the maintenance line item for the purchase of the bluegrass seed to be used in the fairways to help reduce winter kill, and to include the $5,500 to the utilities line item for the extra utility expense.
Any further? Do we need another motion to accept as amended?
I make a motion to accept as amended.
We shouldn't need a second motion because we had a motion and that motion was amended. So we are voting on the amended motion, or the amended motion is on the floor right now.
All right. All in favor, cast your votes. Cast your votes either way. Resolution stands adopted. That is all for this evening. Closing comments, Ms. Lees. Mr. Edge.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Mr. Snow.
I would just like to say good luck to our Carthage Tigers fall sports. Football team seems to be playing pretty dominantly so far the first two games. I haven't made it to a soccer game yet, but I've heard that the soccer team is probably just as dominant as the football team. So go Tigers.
All right. Ms. Barlow.
Nothing, sir.
Ms. Cossey.
Nothing.
Ms. Schramm.
I'm looking forward to attending the MML conference this weekend with many of you others in Branson.
Mr. Taylor.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Mr. Peters.
Nothing tonight, but I believe this puts me in the spot where I would make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.